I made a whole documentary about it. The first night of those shows was a piece that some of you might have seen. It was called 846, and it dealt with the murder of George Floyd. This film that I made was invited to every film festival in the United States, and some of those invitations I accepted. And when this controversy came out about the closer, they began disinviting me from these film festivals. And now, today, not a film company, not a movie studio, not a film festival, nobody will touch this film. Thank God for Ted Sarandos at Netflix. He's the only one that didn't cancel me yet. To the transgender community, I am more than willing to give you an audience, but you will not summon me. I am not bending to anybody's demands. And if you want to meet with me, I'd be more than willing to, but I have some conditions. First of all, you cannot come if you have not watched my special from beginning to end. You must come to a place of my choosing and a time of my choosing. And thirdly, you must admit that Hannah Gadsby is not funny.
That shit gets me every time. I don't know.
Nanette, if you aren't aware who Hannah Gadsby is, she's a comedian from, I believe it's Australia, who did a Netflix special, was lauded by the LGBT community as well as like a lot of critics in the industry because it was very progressive and shed light on the plight of being, is she trans? I don't know, she's something. So non-binary. I don't know. I'm not gonna make the time to Google that shit. But anyways, just so you know, that's why he's referring to her, because she came out and said Dave Chappelle's a trans. Basically called him anti-trans. So
I desperately want people to see this movie, but I understand why investors would be nervous. Since nobody will touch it, I'll tell you what I'll do. I will make it available for all of you in 10 American cities, going on sale in the next few days. You will be able to see this movie in its entirety, and you can see what they're trying to obstruct you from seeing. And you can judge for yourself, but you cannot have this conversation and exclude my voice from it. That is only fair. You have to answer the question, am I canceled or not? Then let's go. Thank you very much, and good night.
He likes throwing the mics.
Yeah.
Every time I see this man's destroying mics.
But he has to throw the mic money, so
yeah. As he throws the mic, he throws that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, as a result of him and his special, as well as all the controversy surrounding it, it seems as though his movie's being stunted in terms of growth and availability to people. On the flip side, Dave Chappelle has become the focal point between this conversation and this kind of boiling point that's been happening between the LGBTQ, the trans community, and the rest of the population.
Yeah.
There is definitely a big divide that's been there.
Yeah.
And Dave Chappelle, with his priority, high name list status, and the way he came about this discussion has definitely put himself at the front and center of it now.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that's why this story hasn't gone away from the news for 2 weeks now.
Yeah,
it's been a
still
while.
there. There's back and forth. There is response. There's all of that, and he's doubling down, and they're doubling down. So it's not a conversation. It's a back and forth. You can have a back and forth, but not a conversation. But anyways, I digress.
My personal thoughts on it. I think this is going to be great for his brand. I think since his inception, since he started, he's always, in a way, not gone with what the industry and the corporations have wanted, even though he's being backed by Netflix. You remember when he left Comedy Central and he went bed? A lot of people respected him for this. And a lot of people, irrespective of like whether or not you think he's authentic or not, that's not the point. People are going to love him for this stance as well, because they see corporations as being aligned with the LGBTQ in a lot of ways, bending the knee to them all the time and what they desire and what they want. And so, yeah, people are going to see this man as a hero. They're going to go watch his shit in droves. They're going to buy tickets at no matter the price, and he's going to be very profitable. But he will be shunned by, I think, a lot of aspects of the industry. Maybe, we'll see. Maybe after this blows over, it won't be the case. But I think this one's definitely the biggest blow up he's had so far. My personal stance, I am also personally really over LGBTQ people just dominating the conversation and telling other folks what they can or can't say.
Yeah.
Or telling folks, if you say this, we'll make sure you're going to pay. I'm over that. So for me, I support anybody who's going to go against that. So that's my kind of general thoughts on the whole thing.
I think I've been over that kind of way of thinking and that rhetoric for a while. Yeah. Even with the Black Lives Matter stuff, I was over with that.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, that's not how we have a conversation. By people shutting the fuck up or people not being able to speak.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I've been over that for a while. So it's just the same thing that repeats itself. Yeah, same. I'm not for or against. I'm like, yeah, this side or that side. I don't think the point of it and the way to really go about it is really by choosing a side, but really by listening to everybody's point and having a discussion. And people don't want to have discussions and shit. So that's really the main thing to me.
Yeah.
Have a fucking discussion.
Yeah. So, you know, I saw an article today that said that Kyrie Irving and Dave Chappelle are pawns of the white man and the white corporations. It's crazy.
That's weird because it's really the opposite that's going on.
Well, the corporations are not.
The corporations are not fucking with that. They're actually using LGBTQ. You go in June.
Yeah.
All you see is rainbow flags.
Yeah.
Which there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that I know that it's corporation just knowing where the money is and being like, you know, we want to look like we're nice and appealing to people they want the people to buy this shit. So it's weird. That's weird.
They also said that the very people who are supporting you right now wouldn't defend you if anything happened, meaning like it's probably going to be Trump supporters who are going to support Dave Chappelle. And I can assure you, when it comes to this sentiment towards LGBTQ people, especially gay folks, for example, that's not a right-wing Trump. Like, listen, black folks in general have always had a certain sentiment towards gay people, period. Okay? This idea that all the views that black folks have that somehow mirror white conservatives is a result of trying to appeal to them is nonsense. I think whenever an individual comes out and says something that may not be popular with certain groups, or when a minority speaks out in a way that a lot of other folks don't like, what ends up happening is that people are like, oh, well, you're just... You're just catering. You are brown nosing. You are, doing this for views and clicks, right?
It's really just for your best advantage. Maybe it's really something that's...
You're being used by the... It's like, listen, irrespective of who end up following me at the end of the day, whether that crowd changes or doesn't, I'm going to say what I believe to be true. All right? And guess what? Some people can't operate on that. Me personally, if I say something and then it happens to align with a lot of right-wing viewers, I don't give a fuck. Personally. Right? The same way when I said stuff about police officers during those riots and things like that, I didn't care that the right folks got mad because I don't give a shit. You should have your views and it shouldn't matter who's necessarily supporting you. If that's what you look at to decide whether or not somebody's stance is valid or not, then we're wasting our times with these discussions. Because it's not about what you're saying or the substance of the argument. It's about, well, who likes your argument?
They're looking at this the same way I was looking at wrestling when I was a kid.
Uh-huh.
When I was a kid and I was looking at wrestling, of course, there was the good, there was the bad. Yeah. Of course, you wanted to be good. You wanted to be a good guy. So you were always rooting for the good guy. You was like, you know what, that's the good guy. I'm with that. Hulk Hogan and all that. But then you realize this bad guy is a badass. There's something about that I like. Good guy, bad guy, left, right. Everybody's a bad guy to the other guy. What's his perspective? What's his point of view? You know what I mean? And as I got older, I like what I like. If I like a person that happens to be a bad guy, I'm going to like that. But no, somebody is like, no, they're good. I like it, all good, and everything that they do is all good on one side. And it's not really that. That's not really life. That's not what really happens, right? You want to do the good or the better for what you believe is being better. Everybody's a bad guy for another person. Cobra Kai.
Do I think that Dave Chappelle can be canceled? Of course not. So long as he has the support of the people, you can say whatever you want. The corporations can. The people are going to support him with their own personal money because they really believe in his values, irrespective of whether he's as funny as he used to be or whatever other stuff you want to say. That's the truth. He represents something symbolically that's bigger than stand-up comedy at the moment. I think just folks are tired. I think folks are exhausted of a lot of this activism nonsense that they see happening. A lot of these, what they perceive as like college campus ideologies, right? Where it's like super liberal nonsense and ideas like silence is violence. Like, shut up, right? People are sick of it. And so irrespective of whether or not his stance are good or not, so many people are going to support him because they're sick of that nonsense. And this is both left and the right. So me, when I see the talks of deplatforming him, the talks of like demanding Netflix stop supporting him and put the money to trans folks, I'm like, this is only going to backfire in a major way for you guys. More and more people are getting tired of it, and it's not going to stop. As for Dave, he's going to be fine. He already made all his bread from Netflix. He's going to be touring for a long time just based off of the social currency he's gathered from speaking out on these issues. And now his voice is so important, he can choose and pick his spots and talk about whatever topic he wants. They don't even come to the show expecting jokes most of the time. They just want to hear the man speak. That's pretty much been my thoughts. What do you got to say?
Same.
Yeah?
I'm not going to repeat.
All right. Well, let us know what you guys think in the comments below. We want to hear from you. What do you think?